All right, Miles, let's talk about the Las Vegas Raiders here for a second. The Raiders are in the middle of a two-game winning streak, right? There's a lot of good vibes, a lot of good energy in the Raiders organization right now for the first time, frankly, all season. And they're heading into an absolutely critical two-game stretch against both Los Angeles teams. There's a big opportunity here for the Raiders to build off their success. And I know you've got some specifics that could be huge for the Raiders as they look to add to their two-game winning streak. But before I hand it over to you, Miles, we want to hear from Raider Nation in the comment section below. It's getting to be later in the year. It's that time of the year, which means it's award season. You're hearing a lot of talk about offensive player of the year and defensive player of the year and awards like that. We want to hear from you guys in the comment section below. Give us your picks for offensive player of the year and defensive player of the year. Look, frankly, there's a couple Raiders that could be in the running for both those awards. Maybe you go with those guys. Maybe you go somewhere else. Either way, let us know who you think is going to win those awards. But Mize, give us the latest out of Vegas.
Yeah, Nick, and Vegas. What a turnaround. The last two games, two big wins, one against divisional opponent Denver Broncos. You always got to love to win those games. Then beating a really, really good, a really tough Seattle team. So you got to feel good about that as well. Finally getting some momentum, Nick. But these two wins come on the back of Derek Carr without his top two targets, I would say, Nick. Darren Waller and Hunter Renfrow have not been there. But we do get good news on that front from the Raiders. Josh McDaniels stated that I know not this coming game, but the Thursday game against the Rams, he states that their Week 14 matchup, potentially Darren Waller and Hunter Renfrow could be activated off IR at that time to start practicing, although it being a short week and there's not a lot of time for them to get up to speed. They probably won't be available to play for that game, but there's hope that after that game onward that they can be ready to go. So, just two more games and these guys are going to be back in the fold, Nick. And this is looking really good at a time where it was kind of looking tumultuous for the Raiders. The Josh McDaniels experiment didn't look so great to start, but now it's gaining some momentum. And I think this shows us maybe we have to give a scheme, a coach, a little bit of time to work, start to get all the plans into motion, Nick. So I think there's a lot of stuff going on for the Raiders. And, people are talking about Josh McDaniels, Nick. And there's a little quote that I wanted to tell you. It goes into people saying about how Josh McDaniels lost the locker room. And there's guys no one on the team liked him, anything like that. And that's just not the case, Nick. Because Josh Jacobs talks about, he says, to lose the locker room, it takes losing your captains. Obviously, there's a few guys who've come out and said stuff, but they're not the guys who are playing that much, so does their opinion really matter? He definitely has not lost the guys. He has not lost the locker room. So I just think all in all, there's a lot of faith and a lot of hope in this Raiders organization. And I think everybody is on the same page. They're all trying to go out and win every day, and they realize the potential that this team has, Nick.
Yeah, and I think a lot of credit is to the leaders in that locker room, and frankly, into Josh McDaniels. Because if you look at the way the season started, right, they lose to the Chargers. They had the ball at the end, couldn't with the chance to win, couldn't get it done. They blow the game against the Cardinals, had the big lead, still had the chance in overtime. They fumble, lose the game there. The Tennessee Titan game, they come back, can't get the 2-point conversion. They lose Kansas City Chief game. They won Devontae Adams double toe tap to kick a field goal to win that game, most likely. Jacksonville, they blew a lead there. The Colts, they blew a lead there. Or I think they had a lead against Jacksonville. Either way, it was a close game. I don't remember exactly how that one shaked out. But either way, they've been in a lot of games, right? They're 2-6 in one-score games, so they could easily be a lot better than the record is right now. And credit to McDaniels and his leadership, because you could see some lesser teams. And we've seen some teams like the Jets and Jaguars historically that have kind of fallen off after losing, a lot of close games early. The Raiders have maintained the faith. They kept it together. And this is a quote here. You got a quote for me. I got a quote for you. This is what Josh McDaniels said, according to ESPN. He said, quote, "The temperature inside the building never really changed. We just continue to be consistent." That's indicative of a veteran team, a veteran coach, a professional team, an organization that says, listen, we're going to keep getting better. We're just going to be methodical. We're going to keep doing what we're doing. And the fact that Josh Jacobs, they keep pounding over the ball, they keep going to Devontae Adams, the defense, you got Max Crosby, continue to play at a high level. Chandler Jones looked to potentially turn a corner against Seattle. Just building, just getting better, trying to work in the right direction. And we're coming up against a brutal 2-game stretch against these two Los Angeles teams. They play the Chargers, who are just as beat up. That's going to be a close divisional game. Then they play another beat up Rams team on a short 3 days rest going into a Thursday night game, short week game there. So again, this is a brutal 2-game stretch here for the Raiders to see if they can turn their season around and make a massive late season run. We're going to learn a lot about the Raiders over this weekend and over Thursday. But I think the fact that they've stayed consistent and stayed true and they turned the corner in the last two games, I think if I'm a Raiders fan right now, I feel pretty confident going into these two matchups.
Yeah, when I look at the rest of this games, Nick, and I look at the schedule, I think they have a chance against the Chargers, as we said, who is also beat up. But I think whether they play that one close, I think that would be good for them. I think they go in, I think they beat the Rams, and then I think outside of that, getting Darren Waller back, getting Hunter Renfrow back, that's going to bolster this offense in ways that you couldn't even imagine. I think Mac Hollins and a couple of other guys have shown that they're good players. But to get Cole out of the slot, put Hunter Renfrow back there, we know that he's very, very productive there. Foster Moreau's been good, but Darren Waller is like legitimately a top 5 tight end when he's playing at his peak. So get a guy like that in there. This offense is gonna soar, Nick, because we see what Josh Jacobs has developed into. Right now he's the top running back in the NFL. He has the best stats. He has the best grades. He's playing like an absolute maniac. He is like the Jonathan Taylor this season. Last year, people are talking about, oh wow, Jonathan Taylor, incredible season. Josh Jacobs has had an incredible season this season. So getting all those pieces back together, you're going to see a Raiders offense that's going to start putting up some major points and a defense, like you said, that might start gelling a little bit. This Raiders team is going to look very, very good down the stretch.